Are you ready to embrace the modern workplace? If your business or nonprofit is not able to work anywhere, anytime, on any device, then your organization is working at a competitive disadvantage. Although many organizations are sold on the why of digital transformation, they are stuck on the how. How to implement a robust collaboration system that works for your internal team and your external partners. How to effectively communicate with everyone in your business. How to securely put all the solutions in place without sacrificing security. If you're ready to embrace the modern workplace, then you're ready for My365. My365 is a complete cloud and digital platform built on Microsoft's trusted public cloud. By leveraging Microsoft's SharePoint, Teams, Power Apps, and Endpoint Manager, My365 brings together a complete cloud solution. My365 provides collaboration, communication, automation, and security in one simple, fast, and scalable solution. So if you're ready to embrace the modern workplace, contact the team at IT Pros Management for more information. And remember, with IT Pros Management, you can relax. IT is covered.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for our webinar. I see folks are coming on in. My name is Randy Martinez. I am the Vice President of Technical Services for IT Pros Management, and we are glad to have you guys here today and want to make sure that we provide you valuable information for your businesses, your nonprofits, if you're a sole entrepreneur. Whatever you are doing today in technology, we want to try to help enhance that. So today myself, and I've got David Swinson, he is the Business Development Director for NetLogic Computers, our My365 partner, and he will be on the presentation today helping us out and answering questions and providing some demos. So we want to basically have a standard presentation today, a standard webinar, give you some information, and then open it up for questions. We do have the ability to provide a demo. So if you wanted to kind of look at behind the scenes and have specific questions, David has that site up and running, and we can definitely show you some information real time. The biggest thing today we want to cover is regarding your 365 experience. So a lot of us use Office 365, Microsoft 365, whatever you want to call it, day to day. Most businesses, nonprofits use these products in various ways. Most of us use it as email, use it as the Office suite of product, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so forth. But there's so much more that's capable of doing, and we could really help build an environment that will allow folks to be able to bring the solutions that are available within potentially the current subscriptions that you have into a single point of existence, basically within an environment that you can create, modify, customize, and build out to suit your needs. So that's what we're going to cover today, is how we can take all those several pieces that you may have seen in your licensing and you're wondering, what does this do? How does this impact my business or my nonprofit? How can I leverage this? We want to show you how to do that and be able to give you an idea of what can be done with the Microsoft 365 platform. David, do you want to add anything before we get going?
Really excited to be with all of you guys. Looking forward to really talking about what Microsoft 365 can do. As Randy is presenting, I'll be monitoring the lobby and the Q&A function that you should all have available to you. And then towards the end, if you ever have questions or something you want to bring up, feel free to use the raise hand function under reactions, and then we can allow you to unmute and then ask that question. And as Randy said, we'd be happy to deep dive in and give you some live demo that we also have available too. So with that, Randy, I'll hand it back to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, David. So the biggest thing I also want to mention to you, at the end of the presentation, we have an offer that we're going to present to everybody, basically to hopefully get you moving in the right direction, to give you an incentive to move in the direction that I think would help your organization maximize their use of Microsoft products. So with that, we'll get going here. So kind of the first thing I really want to cover is what the challenges we currently have in today's work environment regarding productivity. COVID, post-COVID, before COVID, anything dealing with COVID, we all have a point of reference in time that we can look at and say, this is when the workplace shifted, for the good or the bad, whichever way you want to look at it. But it's a shift in time and a major paradigm shift in work environments, workplace environments, businesses, nonprofits. And it's something that we want to make sure that we can help in try to adapt to if your business needs to get adapted to that environment. So the biggest challenges we have prevents us doing a lot of our best work, even with all the technology and data at our disposal. So we've got a lot of technology at our disposal, but most of us don't implement it or have not implemented it to the most effective way as possible. So some of the biggest challenges we have, as you can see, is our distracted workforce. Obviously, people working from home is great. There's some studies that say productivity increases. There's some studies that say it goes in the other direction. So whichever way you're looking at it, we do know there is a workforce that's out there that's working that potentially can be distracted. And we also have disconnected systems. So these are systems that are all over the place. You have a laptop, you may have a tablet, you may have a phone device that are all kind of disjointed and not being managed centrally. So that's another big issue that we see within today's modern work environment are those disconnects. And really the other piece is security and compliance. Obviously, most of you guys have been in the workforce for a while, like I have. You can basically understand that in the good old days, you had an office, you had a firewall, you had servers, you had routers, you had switches, but everything was centralized out of that office and it was managed. COVID hit, and then laptop sales went through the roof. Everybody got a laptop or a tablet or some device and they scattered to the winds to continue working. So now that security model is broken. There is no longer that centralized security because everybody's all over the place, and your security on your modem at home potentially is not going to meet standards or compliance matters that need to be addressed because you're not having a secure environment. So that's something we definitely want to look at when it comes to the Microsoft 365 solution, is how can that help in that type of environment. Give you the next slide here. So if you look at this, this is a visual representation of what kind of most business networks look, especially when COVID hit and post-COVID now in today's world when things are kind of opening up, things are getting kind of back to normal, whatever that definition may be. But we understand that these devices, these systems are all over the place. And as you can see, this is not a way you would be able to manage a business, be able to certify that your business is secure, or be able to certify, or even through your insurance policy, your cyber insurance policies that most of businesses have to get, can say that you're running a secure ship or a secure environment because you're all over the place. We can see that here. What My365 does, it takes it to the next level. We can take in all the pieces that are in your environment and bring them all together using the Microsoft Cloud as the platform to do that. So again, when we say Microsoft Cloud, we are talking about the biggest IT company or software company or technology company on the planet. Microsoft has invested billions of dollars in their infrastructure, in every piece of their environment. So we, as a user of these Microsoft products, can leverage it by basically using the Microsoft Cloud to bring all the pieces together and be able to manage them, make sure they're secure, and we can actually sleep at night knowing that our systems are more secure than not by putting them all together into a single solution, into a single platform. And these are not just Microsoft devices. We're talking about every device that your particular staff, employee teams use. We can bring those pieces all together into one single manageable environment to basically allow for that. David, at this point, do you have anything you would like to add to this?
I think what's really cool about tools like Microsoft 365 versus competitive or competing products out there, and a lot of people would say, oh, we use the Google, we use the AWS, and those are great tools. But with the Microsoft Cloud, really enables us to do is for one singular cost, not only harness this whole unified cloud visual that you're seeing here, but it really allows us, and Randy, you know this very well, it really allows us to tailor those services for each individual business. So no one's business or organization is the same, and these tools allow us to remain compliant, remain secure, remain productive, and still customize it and make it our own.
Correct. Thank you, David. Yeah, that is very true. Our company, IT Pros Management, NetLogic, we live this environment. So we are basically, for a better term, we're eating our own dog food. So we run our businesses in this fashion, and we have found very successfully being able to do things like this. So let's move forward here. So what is the modern workplace vision? Microsoft can help with solutions and concepts that can empower employees. They can enable teamwork and transform how organizations compete, comply with regulations, and deliver customer experiences. So basically, we are bringing in a solution that is already there. What My365 does, it brings them all together for you. So they're, we all know Office. We all may have heard of Endpoint Manager, Intune. There's several pieces out there, Power Apps. What does that all mean? Well, what it means is this is your modern workplace. This is the tools, the pieces that we can put together to basically provide you that singular point of contact, singular point of communication, singular point of collaboration, and a singular point of security for your environment. And those four pillars that I just mentioned there, collaboration, communication, automation, and security, are the four pillars that My365 is built on. So those are the pillars that we consistently strive to implement with our customers, with our clients, and also continuously improve those platforms so that they are continuously being, improved on, and making sure that they stay compliant, secure, and we are consistently trying to make sure that they're not, fall by the wayside. We maintain them, we keep them up to date. Let's move on to the next slide. So what My365 really does, it promotes productivity through some of these pieces that I just mentioned: communication, meetings, content collaboration, teamwork, and the big one, mobility. Mobility is a big factor of what we do with My365. Our motto basically is work on any device, anywhere, at any time, so that your staff, your teams, yourself can actually know that you can pull up any device, grab any device that you have authenticated with through your My365 portal, and you will have the same experience as if you had your laptop or your desktop in front of you. I do this all the time. I'm in the field constantly, and basically I can live off of my phone. I have two phones, so I can live off two phones, but I can live off those phones and do the work that needs to be done by leveraging the My365 solution and all the pieces that come along with it. David, anything on productivity that you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, it's really all about bringing that the whole vision and what Randy and I set out to build here was really something that if you don't have access to a company issued laptop, we never want you to be in a position of wondering, am I on the right network? Do I have to download a VPN? Can I use my iPhone for this or my Android for this? It's really about you grabbing any device that's in your possession, signing in with that single source of truth, that Microsoft 365 account, and then automatically, as Randy said, you're able to access those resources, those tools, anywhere in the world that you are, right down to the point of even having a PC in your pocket on your phone now, which we'll get into a little bit later. But great stuff, Randy. Let's keep going here.
Thank you, sir. So communication obviously is very important. This is where all the solutions that Microsoft provides and that we are able to put all together for you really shine. Being able to communicate continuously with your team, your staff, with your vendors, your partners, all that can be done with solutions that are built into the My365 platform. Specifically, Teams, Microsoft Teams, which we are on right now. Obviously is the platform for communication, but not only just for presentations like we're doing today, but day-to-day communications. My mission is really as an IT provider and IT consultant and solutions provider is to get people off of email, especially internally. Emails internally, should go the way of the dodo bird. They should not be around anymore. Communicating internally using Microsoft Teams is the way to go. Our organization, David's organization, we communicate that way all the time between us, and we're two separate entities, but we communicate continuously that way. Our team internally communicates that way. David's team internally communicates that way. So email is kind of going that way of the dodo when it comes to internal communications. We want to basically be able to handle that as well. Todd, we'll cover your question here in a little bit. Thank you for that. So communication is big, not only through chatting, through video calling, calling back and forth internally within the Microsoft Teams environment, but as well as being able to call externally, which is a question that Todd brought up here and we'll cover in a moment. Content collaboration, critical piece, especially when you've got a workforce that is scattered to the winds. Again, this is something that Microsoft basically has shined on, and being able to create a solution that will integrate with all the pieces that you're used to working with, for example, Microsoft Office, but then also allowing for a level of security and collaboration within your organization as well as externally. David, anything you want to cover on communication or collaboration?
Collaboration has become such a broad term, and it's I feel like it's thrown around pretty loosely these days. Everybody has to collaborate, but what really is collaboration? And one thing we really set out to do is to build intelligent collaboration. I know that sounds like another buzz term, but intelligent collaboration is using collaboration tools where it makes sense. So not only is this tool going to help you promote better collaboration, but for the admins and administrators of departments and companies and organizations, you're actually going to be able to see the real-time impact of how much time your users have saved. There's something inside Microsoft 365 called the adoption score, aka a productivity score. And all of these points that Randy is showing you now for IT administrators and company administrators, you can actually digest them on your own time and see the real-time impact, the time saved, and even the dollar value saved. All of that we build so it's presented to you right inside the Microsoft Admin Center. It's always been very hard to collaborate across excuse me, organizational boundaries, because you're worried about security, you're worried about compliance. Well, the cool thing about this solution is when you're in Microsoft, your end users that you're collaborating with don't have to have any affiliation or relationship with Microsoft. They can simply collaborate with you, and it's respecting all of those boundaries that Randy and myself have already put into place for you. That was really my point on collaboration, Randy.
Thank you, sir. Meetings. Obviously, we all live in meetings nowadays. That's the currency of the realm, as they say. So basically, we're living in a meeting environment that, since we're all in different places, working in different locations, obviously meetings come to play. Microsoft Teams is the solution for that, and that basically is part of the built-out process of My365, is the go-to communication platform for not only standalone meetings, for webinars like this, for just this quick call to a coworker wanting to check in with them. Again, I'm going to reference a lot of things that we do internally so that you know that we are doing this. We, continuously provide IT support for several companies, several organizations, and we have to collaborate with each other because I have knowledge that one of my technicians may not, and my technicians may have some knowledge or something that I may not. And how do we get that taken care of? Well, we have meetings, but we can have these very quick meetings with the tools that Microsoft provides, where we don't have to set up a Zoom call or do it. We can do it on the fly, shoot from the hip type of situation, and get the information passed on to each other and moving forward. Teamwork, obviously collaboration and communication all come back to teamwork. And these tools and these solutions lend themselves to establishing and creating those teamworks. And not only is there it's called Microsoft Teams for a reason. We want to collaborate, and we want to basically be able to provide the level of communication and collaboration with each other to create that team environment, that cohesiveness within the organization for department teams, larger organizations, larger teams, and really be able to provide that in a way that's and I'm going to go back to this all the time, secure, consistent, and basically a very useful tool that can be used on any device, anywhere, at any time. And finally, the mobility piece. And like as David mentioned earlier, we want to be able to have you not be needing to have a laptop. If you don't have one with you, you should still be able to address issues that you may need to address from your mobile device in a secure fashion, in a consistent fashion, and in a way that it basically replicates what you would normally see if you did have a laptop or a desktop with a full monitor. You want to be able to access the same information, the same data, and be able to collaborate the same way on those mobile devices. And I'll use myself as an example and my team as an example. We are always on the move, and we jump on calls consistently from our mobile devices. And other than, having a smaller screen to work from, we can pretty much get our things done very quickly from those devices. So the mobility feature of My365 is crucial. We understand that, and we have made everything possible to make sure that that mobility feature is maximized. David, any words of wisdoms in this area?
I don't care which mobile devices you want to use, whether it's iPhone, Android, a Linux tablet, even a smart device like an IoT device, which we're seeing a lot more of today too. How, for example, do you get Alexa to respond to you about your Microsoft calendar? How do you sync your Google stuff to your Microsoft world? All of those things are part of this solution, and we think about mobility as a holistic platform, not just the phone in your hand, but even your friend's PC, a PC at an office you might be using as a guest. All of that should be able to be accessible to you and still respect your security and compliance.
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what I would like to say is, yeah, this is basically the any device of anywhere, anytime is critical, and we make sure that that is met with the My365 solution. The next area we want to cover basically is the automation. So I mentioned to you earlier, there's 4 pillars, basically collaboration, communication, automation, and security. Well, these solutions and these particular products that Microsoft has speak to that automation component that we want to make sure we cover and we make sure we have available to us. So Power BI is a business intelligence application that allows us to basically look at data in a meaningful way. Yeah, we all aggregate data, we all collect data from different sources, and we all look at it and glaze over a lot of times. Power BI allows us to basically take that data and put it in a fashion that you're able to meaningfully look at and make decisions based on that data without sitting there and counting rows in an Excel sheet or just doing some crazy pivot tables in an Excel sheet. It actually allows for a very graphical representation of what the product, the data source that you're looking at is basically presenting to you. So Power BI is a business intelligence solution that's, again, a Microsoft product that's built in. Power Apps is something that we have leveraged dramatically. Basically is the ability to build out apps at a low cost, low endeavor format and be able to create very quickly without having, a degree in programming or application development. It's a great product. David has done some incredible work with Power Apps for our company, for NetLogic, and for our partnerships. So I'll let him speak about that in a moment here. Power Automate is the feature where, again, the automation comes in, where we can help organizations automate certain specific workflows, tasks that become redundant for a human to do, but for a automated process, be able to do it every time the same way consistently is what Power Automate does. And then the Power Virtual Agent, I'll let David speak on that. So Dave, can you just give us a quick synopsis on the whole Power environment?
Yeah, and I really love to look at it in this order, right? So a lot of us have worked with Excel or something like Excel, maybe Google Sheets or tabular data, right? We've worked with databases, we understand the relationships there. This suite of products called the Microsoft Power Platform is something that's natively built into all Microsoft 365 licenses. And what's really cool about this is Power BI is going to allow you to take mountains of data, tons of databases, whether they're legacy databases, whether they're old Excel sheets that you have kicking around, and immediately put visualizations to that data. So rather, as Randy said, rather than looking at just that raw tabular data inside of Excel, you're now looking at charts, you're looking at reports, you're looking at diagrams automatically created for you based on the real-time data in that database. And oftentimes it doesn't cost anything more to do that. With Power Apps, we use this heavily, and it all integrates with the entire Power Platform. Let's say, for example, you are a field service company and you're running a construction organization, and your end users, your field workers, need to check in and check out construction equipment on a job site. In the past, we've had paper forms, they've had to fill out that information, turn it back into the back office, and then somebody in the back office would need to take that physical data and transcribe it into a database. Now, oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes when a human is involved in transcribing data, something can get lost, right? Something can get lost, it can take time, but with Power Apps, now right on your team member's mobile phone, or even a guest of your organization, like a contractor, they could simply pull up their phone, fill out that information, what piece of equipment they're checking out, and have it immediately sent right back to that visual that your back office team is looking at through Power BI. Power Automate is an amazing tool, and think of it as an unlimited if this then that statement creator. So if you're in a situation where, let's say, that contractor or that vendor sends that equipment checkout back, now it's showing up in your Power BI visual reporting. But what about, do you need somebody to get notified when that check-in or checkout happens? Do you want your customer to get a copy of their invoice via PDF? Do you want a record to be active or deactivated when that actually happens? So Power Automate allows you to put logic saying, if this trigger happens, then take this action. So it's really taking the burden off of the end user and freeing up that time. Power Virtual Agents is one of the newer additions to the Power Platform family. And if you've ever had the aspiration of building a chatbot for your customers and maybe having a chatbot on your website, or even within Teams or Slack or something like that, your customers, your end users or your vendors can now engage with a chatbot right on your website, and all that chat history, all of that data will then immediately write back to your entire infrastructure, which is built into Microsoft 365. So there's really a lot of accessibility, a lot of reach that we can accomplish for all different types of businesses. Randy and I have done healthcare, we've done manufacturing, we've done finance, all through the Microsoft Power Platform.
Thank you, David. Yeah, these power tools are incredible, and we are leveraging these more and more every day for our customers. We are start seeing a lot of adoption to this as we basically educate our clients, and we basically come out and say, let me look at a specific task and see how we can help improve that. And that's how we approach this. We look at a specific, problem that the organization may be having or a challenge, and we say, how can we leverage these technologies? And we find that we're able to consistently provide a very robust way of implementing these solutions in the environment so that the customers are the beneficiaries, their employees, their teams are the beneficiaries of these new automation tools. And basically, this is just this area where it talks about some of the things that David already mentioned, how we can modernize application development, optimize performance, reduce the backlogs, replace and upgrade legacy apps and platforms. So if you have applications that may be doing a specific task, but they're no longer supported, they don't run very well anymore, and they're just not up to the task, then we can definitely look at some of the power tools that are available and how to replace those. How to unify data across single platforms. So if you had data in multiple places, Power BI has connectors or ways to connect out to different data sources, even if they're not Microsoft, Salesforce, different environments that you may have data already aggregated into, but want to be able to look at it in a meaningful fashion. These tools allow for that, and basically reduce the time it takes to create automation for a particular process. In the good old days, creating an automation process could take months. Now it's down to weeks to maybe a month to create a good automation process from start to finish because of the way these tools operate and work. We also, with the Power Automates, we can build out a productive remote workforce, basically to allow your team to collaborate through Power Apps, as David had mentioned, that we can develop out for specific tasks, purposes, and that allows folks to basically use that app to either input data, collect data, view data, or do specific functions that may be better suited to an automated process. Also allow security across all applications and all devices, again, because we're putting it all together, not only the automation piece that we mentioned, but now we're also incorporating the security piece with these tools. And basically, we were able to build a resilient supply chain by maximizing, the intelligence that we gather from our data, the enhanced the visibility that we have into our environments and into our processes, so we can actually say, hey, this process is working, this is not working, let's fine tune the one that's not working and enhance the one that is working, all by implementing these power tools and using them to their full capability.
And what I'll say, Randy, on this too, you don't have to jump back, but what this really does is, and we've always had as business owners, a dream of having good data in front of us. We have a lot of data, right? There's a lot of data in every company. The challenge is getting good, clean data out of it. And it's amazing the speed, efficiency, and the adaptability that this slide is talking about that your business is able to encounter and start to take advantage of when you have real-time quality data in front of you, which is what the Power Platform ultimately does for us.
Yes, thank you very much, David. And yeah, this basically encompasses, I think, the idea behind the Power tools is speed, efficiency, and the adaptability that can be done. And in a slide, it looks great there, nice images, nice graphics, but in real world application, it is impactful into businesses. I've seen organizations that we've done this for really, step up their game because now they've got the tool to be able to play not only within their peers of, other businesses that are in their industries, but also start playing at the higher level because they're building out these processes and these systems through the Power tools to be able to compete at a much aggressive level, especially in the small to medium sized market that a lot of us, are or work in.
It's really about taking the guesswork out of business development is how I like to put it, Randy.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I look at it as well. So basically now we're going to start introducing, My365 managed devices. So now we've talked about, kind of the getting everything together under one umbrella, how to start maybe implementing some Power tools to automate some things to increase, efficiencies and productivity. But we also want to look at, obviously, there are still devices. None of us have chips connected to our brain yet that can ingest all this data. So we do rely on devices, whether a laptop, a tablet, a mobile device, whatever you're using for your organization. We want to basically be able to include those items, those devices in the environment that we're basically putting into. So first of all, we're going to cover about staying secure. That's a big thing. And I know for David and I, that's something that we talk about all the time. We have meetings every week. And everybody that we meet with, we're always concerned about security, and we want to make sure that that piece is covered within the My365 solution. So David, I'll let you talk a little bit about sensitivity labels, and I'll chime in on that if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Sensitivity labels are Microsoft's answer to universal message encryption. So a lot of us have heard about encrypted emails and sending an email securely. Maybe we're using a third-party system now, like a third-party CRM, that we have to upload documents and then have the client create an account for so they can get access to their files. Sensitivity labels aim to simplify that whole process and make it more native to what you and your team are already accustomed to using. And not even just your team, but your customers too. In order to access a sensitive piece of information, we don't want your customers to have to jump through hoops. We don't want to have them learn a whole new portal. It should come natively to their existing email box, whether they use Gmail or Microsoft or AOL or whatever it might be. Sensitivity labels are going to be indicators that you see in these examples of Office 365 apps. There's Excel and then there's Outlook over there on the right-hand side. And these labels are actually going to be available across your entire Microsoft 365 environment. And they don't just apply to Microsoft files like Word, Excel, PowerPoint. They can be used in PDFs. They can be used on CAD drawings. They can be used on videos or photography, depending on what your business is. And essentially, there are three main labels right out of the box. There's a newer fourth one too that allows you to just keep stuff internally. But when you apply that first label, public, which is going to be the default label for just about every piece of documentation you have. And this is essentially, hey, I don't need to encrypt this email. This is us making lunch plans. This is a public document. Anybody can see this, and it's not encrypted. The second label is private, and private is going to automatically apply encryption to that particular piece of information, and anyone that needs to access the information outside your organization can either use a personal or work Microsoft account. They can use their Gmail account, or if they don't have any of those things, they can request a one-time passcode to be able to transact with you on that piece. And it's just like if they were to sign into their bank account, right? If they sign into their bank account, it's like, hey, we're going to send you that one-time passcode. Go and grab that passcode from your email, and then that grants them access. And what that does for us as a business is it allows us to keep an audit log. So we keep an audit log of who, when, what, and where. all the time on all of these documents. Protect read only, which is the third label on this page, is really to be used when you don't want the recipient of the information to forward, print, copy, or even download the information that you've transmitted to them. And that could be transmitted via Teams chat, via Slack chat, via email, however you want to send it to them. These protections are embedded within the document itself. An example I like to give of that is, let's say Randy and I are working together. And Randy decides, all right, Dave, you know, your time at IT Pros is coming to an end. We're going to part ways for whatever the reason may be. Well, maybe I get a little upset about that, and I decide to take a whole bunch of proprietary company data and throw it onto a flash drive. And I run away with that flash drive. The cool thing about these sensitivity labels is, even if I were to plug that flash drive into another computer and try and jump in, I would not be able to access that data because my account at IT Pros Management is no longer valid. And all of that is done behind the scenes by your IT department or by the end user with their own security settings. And it's totally customizable for that end user. So this is a solution that's really flexible, really secure, and your end users only have to learn it once. And it works across desktop, mobile, web. It does not matter where you're accessing it from.
Yeah, and this basically accomplishes the goal that if you're in a business or an organization that is falls into a compliancy model, either HIPAA, PCI, SOC 2, CNMC, whatever compliancy regulatory model or framework your organization or business has to follow, this solution provides that level of, especially for HIPAA, that encryption when you're transmitting data that is considered to be personal information, identifiable information. This solution basically takes care of that encryption for you consistently and can be set up to not only have the user make the selection, but we can set it up where it's automatically detecting the type of data that's going out. It'll detect the social security number format, a credit card format, a bank information, and automatically force that level of encryption on it, whether the user chooses it or not, based on security policies that we can implement.
Exactly. The other cool piece to this here, oh, I'm sorry, Randy. What I was going to say here is the other cool piece to this is, even if these labels aren't enough for your organization, under your Microsoft licensing, you can have as many labels exposed to different people in and out of your organization. So maybe your HR department needs a different set of labels that enforce different behavior. All of that can be customized. And as we mentioned earlier, this solution isn't the same for every single company because everybody handles their data differently. So these are just the default things that come out of the box.
Correct. And I'm glad you brought that up, David, because that's critical. I'm going to just play this really quick video. It's a quick demo on, basically using sensitivity labels. I'm going to go ahead and stop that, but everybody gets the idea at this point that it's, obviously we're using this on an iPhone, non-Microsoft product, standard email platform that comes with the phone, and these sensitivity labels consistently work across all platforms. Staying secure, basically want to make sure we use Windows Information Protection, which is a solution that's within the Microsoft environment that allows for, again, the protection of data to make sure that we know where our organizational data is, whether through sensitivity labels, through the information protection solution service that within the Microsoft platform. We need to make sure that we understand where data is, where is it going, where is it moving to, and this allows that to happen. Again, keeping your data secure is critical. Without your data, most businesses are no businesses anymore. They're out of business because the proprietary information that a lot of us have in our organizations is what gives us our ability to go to market with our services and our solutions. And we want to make sure that we use everything possible to protect that information. David, any information on WIP here?
Windows Information Protection is an awesome product, and it's actually inheriting a new name very soon called Microsoft Purview, and you'll see that branding already if you're a Microsoft customer. Purview is designed to do exactly what it sounds like: give business owners and IT departments and security experts purview into what's going on, and also set those virtual boundaries. For example, if on my phone I will not be able to take a text message, or let me go back, take something out of my OneDrive that is a company document and then simply copy and paste that data into a text message and send to my friend. The system is intelligent enough to prevent us from doing things like that. Or if you want to allow those kinds of things, it will at least create an audit log for you so that you have something to show or look back on if something were to ever come up in the realm of compliancy. So Windows Information Protection is not just a solution for Windows 10 and 11 devices. It applies to Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and even Linux and the web as well.
Perfect. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Yes, and Purview, like David mentioned, is the kind of the new name, new solution that's going to be replacing Windows Information Protection. We're excited about it from within the IT industry because it's really going to allow us that visibility, the enhanced visibility into these type of services and solutions to protect, secure, and manage data for our customers and for the organizations that we support. There's a lot of built-in security within the Microsoft solution: spam, phishing, malware protection, bulk email protection, spoof intelligence. So there's a lot of tools that are built into the actual Microsoft platform solution that out of the box is pretty much there for most of these products. David, is there any particular solution that you are drawn to? I know the answer to that, but I'll let you speak to that.
Well, and I'll keep it very short and sweet here. What I really love about having all of this rolled into one is it's not, rolling out a Microsoft 365 environment isn't just about all of these new services. It's about helping you eliminate redundant services and reduce cost on other tools you might already be paying for that might not be doing the job as effectively as you want them to. So with the whole Microsoft 365 environment, your entire security posture is actually built into that subscription too. You don't need to worry about paying for extra tools or extra services. All of this stuff is going to happen in real time, baked into the entire subscription that you're already getting through IT Pros.
Great, thanks a lot, David. So let's move into the productivity or the production side of the house. And these solutions basically kind of lend themselves to what we're talking about. SharePoint, all of us, I think, on this call are familiar with SharePoint in one way or another, have used it, I've heard about it, but your grandfather's SharePoint is not your today's SharePoint. So if you hear SharePoint and you say, oh, I remember it was not, no, this is a whole different thing. It's not the same SharePoint that a lot of us that have been around, the business for 20, 30 years recall SharePoint being. This is just a whole different monster. Our company, NetLogic, David's company, both live, breathe, work off of this platform every day, all the time, and it allows us to be much more flexible and dynamic by using this platform to do that. With SharePoint, we build out landing sites, team sites, learning sites. These are all different sites that are built into the SharePoint environment to allow for different areas to be used by teams so that they can actually move themselves in a direction where they're able to collaborate in a secure environment within a SharePoint site that continuously is adaptable to their needs. So if a project comes up and they need to change the layout of the SharePoint site, we can make that happen. If the needs of the business change overall, we can adapt the SharePoint sites to accommodate for those changes and to be able to reflect that. We look at SharePoint sites as dashboards as well. We use them for many of our customers, especially again when COVID hit. A lot of companies were used to having servers on site, and all of a sudden there became a big problem on how do we access our data that is now housed in a location back in the office or in a data center, and we have not thought about remote access because we never really need to. Well, this is where SharePoint really helped us. And as a personal note, from an IT perspective, I have not quoted a new server in over 3 years, period. We don't do it unless there's a very specific business need to have a server. Pretty much that's nowadays is kind of, again, the way of the dinosaurs. David, I'll let you jump in and chime in.
Yeah, and I threw the little heart up there. The really cool thing about SharePoint is it works anywhere, it works anytime. And something that we may have failed to mention is everything that we're talking about here, we're never going to ask you, unless Randy said that there's a very specific business need, none of this has any physical infrastructure behind it, right? There's no servers, there's no installations, we're not coming out and maintaining equipment. All of this is done via the cloud and baked into your Microsoft subscription with IT Pros. So this is not something that you have to sit there, manage, upgrade, and plan for cost on that. So really awesome stuff that we're able to do, give people a universal website, a true modern intranet. Randy knows I love that word intranet, but that is essentially what SharePoint is doing for us, is it's giving us our own intranet for our entire organization. Whether you're a company, because a lot of people have said, well, you know, I'm a company of 1 to 5 people, I don't need an intranet, but trust me, it works for companies of 1 all the way up to 1 million people. It really doesn't matter how big or how small you are. Having an effective file structure is essential to just about everybody. And if you're just dipping your toes into Microsoft, or if you're new to this is also a great opportunity to really clean house and clean up your existing environment to get you to that black or even green standard.
Correct. Yeah, this has been basically for small and medium-sized business, this has been a game changer because of the fact that they are now able to play in the same environment that, as David said, a company that had 1,000 users, 10,000 users, it's the same. It's just more people. There's just no differentiating between us creating a site for a small to medium-sized law firm of 10 attorneys or a large law firm of 10,000 attorneys. It's still going to be the same process. This is what's the great equalizer in today's modern workplace, is the ability to be able to have the same tools that, a few years ago were just cost prohibitive for small to medium-sized businesses to actually be able to afford. And Microsoft has kind of leveled the playing field with these solutions and these tools. Sorry, I think I went back to the wrong slide here. Let me just move forward a little bit. So basically, the productivity tools that we're all kind of used to is the Office 365 suite of products, which includes your Outlook, your Word, your Excel. There are additional tools now that are included in there. We all, I think, are familiar with OneDrive, basically your own little 1 terabyte storage. Microsoft gives every single licensed user of pretty much the business premium, business standard licensed models. People get 1 terabyte of storage that is theirs. It's not included in the SharePoint environment. This is your little world of data. We leverage it from an IT perspective as a backup solution. So we're able to back up to your OneDrive, anything that's in your documents folder, your desktop, and your picture folder. So those 3 folders are automatic. When we implement a My365 solution, we automatically set that up for you so that your desktop is backed up. Not only is it good for backup, but it's also good that now you're able to access your desktop items on your documents, your desktop, or pictures that are yours specifically on your device from any device. That's where that any device feature comes in. Through OneDrive, we're able to leverage that to allow you to access your data no matter where you are, even if you don't have your laptop with you.
And I
David,
can't
anything?
say how many times that has saved me, because Randy, I'm sure you've had to go out run errands during the day and you were working on something and one of your team members calls you or sends you a message and says, hey, can I get that file that you were working on? Well, traditionally, you would have to be anchored or chained to your desk in order to make that happen, or make sure that you have some sort of VPN into your server to get it done. But now if I'm out and about running errands for the business or even my personal life, I can simply pull up my phone, open up my desktop folder, and immediately send that to whoever needs access, all with the appropriate sensitivity. No VPNs, no special connectivity required, just my Microsoft Modern authentication.
And I get one thing also I want to mention, there are apps, in the App Store that allow you to do that. So if you look for Microsoft Teams, Microsoft SharePoint, Microsoft OneDrive, there are apps that will connect to these devices natively, to these data sources natively, and basically allow you to get going. So there's no need to have anything other than your phone with you, and be able to continually work and do what you have to do, not only in meetings, but access data, whether it's your OneDrive, whether it's a SharePoint site. You can have your entire SharePoint site. I have it on my phone, our company's SharePoint site, and I'm sure David has his company's SharePoint sites on his phone, and we can work either way continuously and without a problem. Let's move into the
tablets. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead,
think
Dave.
about tablets too. A lot of our team members, especially the younger generation, they don't want a desktop. They don't want a laptop. They want to work from their iPad. They want to work from their Galaxy tablet, right? So how do we make that possible? Well, if all this stuff is available on Android and iOS, it doesn't really matter what device you choose to issue to your employees. Of course, different roles, like if they're a video designer, they'll need a MacBook Pro or a Surface Studio or something like that. But for your everyday first line workers, it opens up all different types of devices that you can provide to them, and less expensive devices too, because you don't need all that horsepower behind them.
Correct. You can do all this stuff on a Chromebook if you had to. Again, if you just needed to access a SharePoint site and just work off of whatever is in that site, and you don't need to do any kind of processing or anything, Chromebook knocked it out of the park. Let's move into the communication area and look at Microsoft Teams. So basically, working together is the philosophy behind Teams, and Microsoft Teams is literally for everyone. Not only has Microsoft created the consumer version that just came out recently, but obviously the business version, which we are working with today, is there. So Microsoft Teams is for everybody. It provides a consistent way of communicating, whether through a video chat, just a standard chat, a call. You have the ability, meetings ad hoc, you have the ability with Microsoft Teams to do it in a secure fashion. We're not talking about Zoom, or we're not talking about go to a webinar. This is something that integrates into your My365 environment, into your SharePoint environment, into your OneDrive. So not only do you have a communications tool that's there, but you can leverage that communications tool to be your productivity and your collaboration tool all in one. David, I'll let you speak a little bit on Teams. I know you are hardcore, you and Rafe.
Oh, it's my
love
favorite. It is my favorite. Yeah, so I actually was working directly at Microsoft when Teams first started to evolve, and I really got to see, what this product's vision was going to be. And for those of you that are wondering, Teams does a lot of things. A lot of people compare it to like a Slack or a Zoom, as Randy had said. But the problem is with those products is they do one or two things very well. Teams aims to do all of your things very well. And if we have time at the end, we'll also go into we'll probably have a follow-up, Randy, for people that want to come in to really show the integration between
Absolutely.
Teams and SharePoint and all that. But, I think Todd had asked earlier, what about telephone systems, right? How do we integrate calling systems in? Teams is your calling system. Teams is your messaging system for both inside and outside the organization. Teams also does your entire file management. If you have a team set up, then you already have a network drive set up for people to share files on. So it's an amazing all-in-one system that brings all the core functionality of your business together. Realistically, if you never wanted your team members to have to leave one application, they could get their entire workday done inside of Microsoft Teams, whether it's on desktop, on web, or on mobile. And for anyone that's wondering, well, what about guests and meetings? The cool thing about Teams versus competing products like Zoom or Slack is you don't even have to download an application to get the best high fidelity meeting experience. So if you're meeting with prospects or end users that are not part of your company, maybe they're customers or whoever they might be, they can just join on the web and never have to install any software on their iPhone, their iPad, their Mac. It doesn't matter where where they are. So Teams is really that single source of communication, single source of productivity. And what you're going to see in the future is more and more Microsoft solutions being aggregated into Microsoft Teams. Not that the core desktop functions are going away. Outlook will always be Outlook, Word will always be Word, but Teams is going to be that one place that you can bring it all together. It's the great aggregator of your business.
Yes, and our company, David's company, we push the limits when it comes to Teams. We really, really do. We live and breathe the product, whether our mobile devices, on our desktops, on tablets. We really push the envelope, and we try to task it to do a lot of things to make sure we're able to provide the information to our customers and say, yes, it can handle, 1,000 people in a meeting. It can handle 10,000 people, in a webinar. Yes, it could do all these things. So we really push the envelope with it. The chat feature obviously is critical to Teams, so that's something that's kind of native to it. It's very good. It's a great, like I mentioned, it's a great way to eliminate emails, especially within an organization, because again, the data is stored within the Microsoft cloud environment. It can be, if you look at some legal terms, it could be put on a legal hold. It can be subpoenaed, just like we used to hearing about emails being subpoenaed. Teams communications can be done that because there is a platform to allow for that. Meetings, obviously, it's critical. We're having our meeting today on the Microsoft Teams platform. And again, you can see there's a lot of different things. You can do it on a mobile device, and with the graphic here, you could do it obviously on a computer. Calling, again, big feature. I know Microsoft Teams, and I'll let David maybe chime in on that. I know they're trying to become one of the large voice phone service providers in the world. I mean, we're all kind of used to hearing about RingCentral and some other large VoIP providers, but Microsoft definitely is pushing the envelope to do that.
And it's so cheap in comparison to competing products too, because it's built into that native Microsoft environment. So Todd, to come back to your question earlier, how do we handle telephony? You actually have a native dial pad within Microsoft Teams. If you connect your phone system to it or run your phone system directly through the Microsoft PBX, which is part of Teams natively, all of your calls will come into Teams. Anywhere that your end users are signed into Teams, whether it's on their desktop or the web or mobile, it will actually integrate with your iPhone's native dialer too. So if you get calls on your business line, it will show in your call history in your iPhone like any other phone call, but have a Teams icon next to it and will automatically route those calls, those voicemails right inside of Microsoft Teams. So call forwarding, call queues, auto attendance, all of that stuff can be done right within inside Microsoft Teams. And as of last year, there is now a whole Teams device store. So if you're looking for physical desk phones, meeting room systems, conference calling systems, all of those are built into the native Microsoft Teams environment. And for those of you that may have used some Microsoft calling features before, this is not new. It's a refinement of a service that used to be called Skype for Business. So if you've ever used Skype's calling plans, it's as Randy said, it's not your grandfather's SharePoint, and this is not your grandfather's Skype either. It is much cleaner, much easier to use, and much more accessible across all devices. So if you are interested in looking at your PBX system, your calling system, all of that can be aggregated right within Teams. And the reason I love doing that is not only because of the cost savings and the actual productivity, but it's, again, well, hitting on that productivity, it's bringing all of your team members' functionality, all of your workforce functionality into one application, reducing friction on training, licensing cost, and overall frustration with having to learn something new.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, David, for that, because that's kind of the big thing. Like I said, Teams is really looking to dominate in the voice area as well. And finally, the collaboration tool, like David said, could have this one application and this one service solution and work on it continuously and not have to leave that single platform. And that's the big piece about Teams that makes it incredible. And we are continuously striving to push the envelope on that. So we're coming down to the last few minutes here. We're definitely going to have another webinar, probably more of a demo environment, where we can actually go through and show you the actual pieces. So be on the lookout for that. I do want to get to the point. I did mention that we are going to have an offer. And basically our offer is just this. Basically, you can scan the QR code. It'll take you to a site where you can get more information on this. But we want to basically, if you haven't adopted this or you're thinking about it, we want to basically create a SharePoint site for you, We want to create a SharePoint site for you so you can actually start using it. And that doesn't mean you have to have a 365 tenancy. We will spin up a tenancy, a trial tenancy, won't cost you anything. And that tenancy will basically be set up for you. We'll set up a SharePoint site, we'll brand it for your organization, and then you can actually access it. If you already do have a tenancy with Microsoft, we can help you build out a SharePoint site, so you can play with it. Look, show it to your employees, show it to your coworkers, and see if it's something that you guys want to develop. But at least it gets you down that path and gets you to the point where you're ready to embrace this solution. Without the adoption or the actual involvement of actually having to sign a contract and move forward with it. It gives you the chance to play with the tool, get used to it, and then say, yeah, I think this is something our business can do, and then we can help build on that. So please take advantage of it. Go ahead and scan that QR code. It'll take you to a website, and you'll get some more information on there. You can register it. Once you register, one of our business development folks will reach out to you and get some information, and we'll start down that process. Again, it's no obligation. If it's not for you, that's fine. If it's a trial version, it'll just disappear. If it's something in your tenancy that you already have and you want to leverage it, then we can definitely remove it if you don't want it anymore. And no harm, no foul. But it doesn't cost you anything to at least try the solution and see what it could do, and then move forward. So with that, I want to thank everybody for participating and showing up today. I want to thank you, David. Appreciate your backup. I know the situation you were in earlier, but I want to thank you very much for coming on board. I really appreciate your time. And please look forward to some additional webinars. And we are going to have a follow-up to this where we're going to be kind of a true just demo environment and go through the whole thing and have a lot more Q&A. But at least I hope this gives you information to think about and move forward. David, any parting words?
Yeah, I really wish we had more time so I could show you all the ins and outs and how it actually works. But I'm sure Randy and his team are going to be sending out a follow-up meeting. It'll be a much more casual meeting where we can just get on and deep dive into all of the things on the screen share of what a landing site looks like. But please take advantage of this offer. It's not to rope you into something. It's to really get you hands-on with how does this look? How does this feel? What exactly was he talking about? And because a landing site and what we've talked about is a template, right? It's a template to start from. Once you get into that template, all of the gears start spinning in your head. Oh my goodness, if it can do this, then I can refine this business process. I can alleviate this task off of this individual. I don't have to hire someone over here to do this because I can automate it. So really looking forward to talking with you guys more on that follow-up call. And Randy, thank you so much for having me on today.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. And everybody, everybody that joined us today, I will be sending out a link once we get the video rendered on today's webinar, so you can review it. You can share it with friends, coworkers that maybe not be able to attend, and hopefully it'll get them going, get their juices flowing, their creative juices flowing to help improve and embrace this new modern workplace that we're all working in. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.